Hi everyone, it's Rachel Mascott again. In today's clip, I want to explore why it is we stop flossing. Now, usually we start flossing because, our parents tell us to if we're very good and motivated and we start when we're young. Or more often we start flossing because the dentist tells us that we need to, or our hygienist. And sometimes we only start flossing because we really have to, because we end up at the gum specialist. So starting flossing, generally there's something that sets that off and we respond. Problem for most of us is that at some point the interest starts to trickle down and decline. And we find that motivation, and again, I often say I don't like the word motivation, but the will to pick up that piece of floss and do that task starts to drop off, it dwindles away. And what started out really great after the dentist visit, or the periodontist, or the hygienist, or whatever it was that got you going, a few weeks in, it's like, I'll do it tomorrow. I won't do it tonight, I'll do it tomorrow. And before you know it, tomorrow is a month later. And then you pick up the floss again, possibly feeling very guilty and bad, and you floss your teeth and they're bleeding again and they're all soft again. And it's easy to give yourself quite a hard time at that point. So I think it's really a good thing to explore this, start to examine it, put it under the microscope and ask ourselves, well, what is going on here? Because I hear this every single day at work when, I often say with a smile on my face, but my mask is on so no one can see it. I often ask people, so how's the flossing going? And a handful of people will go, it's great. Fantastic. They're the keen ones. They're the regulars. Nothing's going to stop them. They're like a rock when it comes to flossing. But they're fairly rare, I have to say. What happens with most people is you can see them do this little thing where they think they're going to get in trouble. They're not. But people think they're going to get in trouble. And then the whole story starts. If I was really good and I kept it going for a while and then, I don't know, after a while I just stopped. Or I ran out of floss. That's a big one. I ran out of floss. And of course you go to the supermarket and it's not on the shopping list, or you forget your shopping list and no floss is bought. Suddenly 6 months later you haven't flossed your teeth since, 2 weeks after the dental visit. So what is this? What is going on? Part of the problem, I suspect, is that when you get to be a consistent flosser, 2 weeks, if you've been doing it every day for 2 weeks, suddenly there's not much going on. So initially when you start flossing, your gums might be bleeding, or you might be getting plaque out and going, yeah, I'm really doing something here. But when you get consistent and the gums start to get quite healthy and robust, they feel firm, they feel lovely, there's not so much bleeding. It's like there's nothing much going on. So you're not getting that feedback that you're doing a good job. It becomes actually quite mundane. And I think that mundaneness is where people start to tail off because they're not thinking they're getting results. What they don't realize, they've actually hit the point that you want to get to. That's actually what you want. You want flossing to be very uneventful and boring. You don't want a lot of bleeding. You want the gums to feel robust and healthy. You don't want to be pulling out loads and loads and loads of plaque because you're actually sustaining yourself. So like all kind of flat points, people kind of lose interest and excitement, forgetting that actually that flat point is the point. That's the point you were trying to get to. The other thing that I think can kick in is the lifestyle patterns that a lot of us have where we work during the day. And obviously, this doesn't apply to shift workers, but they'll have their own rhythmic issues and contentions with flossing. And so we work hard and we come home, and that's often our reward time. And reward time might be hanging out with the family, it might be playing games on the computer or being on social media, it might be watching television, it might be streaming movies, whatever your flavour is, reading a book. We've all got our things that we like to do. The problem is sometimes reward time actually consumes quite a bit of our evening. So what happens is that we come home, we put on our favourite show, favourite movie, whatever it is, and before you know it, it's later than you thought. And in that lateness, it's like, oh, got to get ready for bed now, and then everything's kind of packed into a little space. And that little space, it's really easy to go, I'll floss tomorrow. And then, as I said, that flossing tomorrow, suddenly it's tomorrow, it's tomorrow, it's tomorrow. Oops, here I am, I've got to go to the dentist again. I better floss my teeth this morning, otherwise she'll know. I'm sorry, I can tell. Too many years, too many grey hairs from dentistry. I can tell when you do that. And, you know, the whole guilt cycle. Well, we can live without the guilt cycle. Seriously, it's not worth feeling guilty about. And frankly, guilt is such a waste of energy. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't help your gums, I can tell you. It doesn't help. What if we look instead at how we construct our lives, that lifestyle issue, that what are we doing before we go to bed, that we're crunching ourselves in and making it easy to put floss off until, mañana, whenever. And I always encourage people to look at this. If they're struggling to keep a flossing routine, and when I say flossing, I trust you know that I mean flossing or little brushes or water flossing, whatever your flavour is. We'll talk more about that in another occasion. I'm using that word generically. It applies to everything. But what I would recommend that you do is start to look at when you floss and fitting it in to a time that's consistent and sustainable, something that will work. So if you eat your evening meal and you don't snack after that, that's a great time to floss your teeth and clean them. Why not? Then you can sit down to your evening, to your time together, your family time, your whatever your enjoyment is to wind down in the evening. If you do tend to snack, this is a good one. Flossing your teeth and cleaning them can actually help, make the snacking less appealing. Doesn't always work, but I'm just putting it out there as an idea. But the real point here is that we are not a victim to a particular rhythm. And often the problems we have when we lack consistency, and this applies just as much to things like exercise programs or study programs, is starting to look at the way you construct your life and the rhythm that you're following. We all have some degree of a rhythm or an order in the way we run our days and the way we run our weeks and months. So if you've got something that's consistently falling over, then I would bring it back to looking at the rhythm, to look at your patterns in your day, the construction of your day, and start to consider whether it's working for you or not, and can you do it differently. It's really interesting how just taking something out of that last minute before you go to bed and placing it differently in your day can completely change the whole landscape. And suddenly that thing that you struggled to do is no longer such a struggle. The other thing is no one else can or should tell you what to do and when. Okay, as a dentist, my advice is it's better to floss in the evening before you go to bed because you go to bed with cleaner mouth. You know, your mouth is not exposed to bacteria when you're in bed. Great, that's true. However, if that doesn't work in your life, and for you flossing in the morning or flossing in the afternoon, doesn't matter when, if that works and you're going to do it and you're going to do it every day, hey, that works for me. Because what counts with our body is consistency. Our body loves consistency. Our brain might like us to do whatever, whenever, whatever, and get its little jollies, you know, being all crazy and wild. Great. The human body loves consistency, and I can say that because we know the physiology of the body has a rhythm. That's well known in science. It's called the circadian rhythm or the diurnal rhythm. It's related to hormone secretion. It's responsive to the hours of the day, daylight, nighttime. And our body is very settled with that rhythm. And we know if you take a body and you take it out of rhythm, and anyone who works shift work will tell you, the impacts of going against your natural rhythm are intense. And it can be very, very damaging to your health if you don't know how to support your body in shift work. So how does that relate to floss? Consistency. Find your way for you to be consistent. Find your time, find your place, and explore different ones until you find something that makes it easier to get past the dreaded 2-week mark and make flossing actually a part of your life. And therefore, your experiences with the dentist a lot lovelier and a lot less intense and traumatic. So I hope this is of value to all of you who would like to make flossing a little bit more of a daily thing. Again, any questions are very welcome, as long as they are in keeping with the theme of the talk and all about teeth and health. Anyway, bye for now.